I never thought I'd see my own sister smiling while the police were at my door, all because I refused to pay her $1,850 after she ditched my daughter's birthday. That's how this nightmare started. I'm Emily Carter, a 34-year-old single mom to a bright, balloon-loving 7-year-old named Lila. We live in a cozy 2-bedroom home in a quiet Oregon suburb, the kind of place where you know your neighbors, where birthday banners stretch across driveways, and where you think family means support. Until mine proved otherwise. For years, I've been the peacekeeper of the Carter family, the one who smooths things over between my older sister Vanessa and my mother, who's always been more critical than caring. Vanessa was always the golden child. She's loud, confident, and has this uncanny ability to make people feel like they owe her something. She married well, runs a small event planning business, and never lets anyone forget it. When I started planning Lila's 7th birthday party, I wanted it to be simple, a backyard picnic with cupcakes, games, and fairy lights. But Vanessa? She called it amateur hour. If you want people to actually show up, let me handle it, she said one afternoon, her tone half sweet, half condescending. You know I can make it magical. Just pay for supplies, I'll do everything else. I hesitated. Money was tight. Between rent and daycare, I didn't have much wiggle room. But Lila had been talking about a unicorn tea party for months, and Vanessa promised to make it special. So, I agreed. Vanessa took over completely, sent out invitations, ordered decorations, even claimed she'd found a friend discount for catering. She messaged me a few times asking for small payments, $100 here, $75 there for balloons or deposit fees. I transferred each one, trusting her. After all, she was family. But the morning of the party, everything went quiet. I woke up early, expecting Vanessa's van full of supplies to pull up by 9 a.m. Instead, nothing. No call, no text. I tried messaging her. You on the way? Need help setting up? Read. No reply. By noon, my backyard was empty except for a few dollar store streamers I'd bought just in case. The cake was waiting in the fridge, the rented chairs were still stacked, and my daughter dressed in her unicorn dress kept looking out the window asking, "When are they coming, Mommy?" That question broke me. One by one, the guests started messaging me. Hey, we got a cancellation text this morning. Is the party still happening? Cancellation text. My stomach dropped. I checked my phone and there it was. A message sent from Vanessa's business account to every guest. Emily had to postpone the event due to illness. Sorry for the inconvenience. I felt my chest tighten. She cancelled my daughter's birthday behind my back. I tried calling her again, this time it went straight to voicemail. My mom wasn't answering either. Not one family member showed up. That night, after comforting Lila and promising her a makeup party, I sat alone scrolling through social media, and that's when I saw it. Vanessa's Instagram story. There she was, smiling in a cocktail dress, holding a margarita. The caption read: "Work hard, play harder, nail polish, event free weekend equals me time." The timestamp? The exact hour my daughter was waiting by the window. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Vanessa finally texted. Hey sorry about yesterday. Something came up. I'll explain later. Can you send the rest of the $1,850 for the event supplies? I already put my card down. I blinked at the message, rereading it twice. She was asking for payment for a party she never even threw. I replied, calm but shaking. Vanessa, you cancelled everything without telling me. I'm not paying you. Her reply came fast. Excuse me? I did a lot of prep work, You don't get to decide not to pay. It's business. Business. That word again. My own sister talking to me like I was just another client she could squeeze. I thought she'd cool down. She didn't. 2 days later, I got a knock at my door. A uniformed officer stood there, holding a folded document. Ma'am, he said. We received a complaint about unpaid services and possible theft of property. Do you have a moment to discuss? And behind him, leaning against her shiny black SUV with her arms crossed, was Vanessa. Smirking. That smirk chilled me more than anything. I didn't know it then, but this wasn't just about money. It was about control. And my refusal to bow down to her was about to start a family war that would explode far beyond one ruined birthday party. Because if Vanessa wanted a fight she just found one. If I'm being honest, the red flags had been there long before my daughter's birthday. I just didn't want to see them. Because when it comes to family, you tell yourself things like she didn't mean it that way or she's just stressed. You justify the jabs, the lies, the manipulation until one day, it's standing at your doorstep wearing a police badge. That day, when the officer came, everything inside me went cold. He asked a few routine questions: my name, Vanessa's business, whether I'd agreed to pay. I told him the truth, there was no written contract, no service, and certainly no supplies delivered. He nodded politely, but his eyes flicked toward Vanessa like he already knew who the real troublemaker was. When he left, she followed him with her smug grin still plastered on. Before getting into her SUV, she turned and said loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "You'll be sorry, Em. I don't work for free." That night, I sat on the couch staring at my phone message threads, receipts, every "hey sis, just $50 more for the decorations" text replaying like flashing warning signs I'd ignored. And as much as I wanted to blame the birthday incident, I started realizing this pattern wasn't new. The truth? Vanessa had always been like this. When our dad passed away 5 years ago, she was the one who handled everything: the estate, the accounts, the car. She told me dad had left no savings, only debts. I believed her. I was too overwhelmed by grief to question it. Then, 2 years later, I found out from an old family friend that dad's car, the one she claimed was repossessed, had actually been sold to one of her friends for cash. I confronted her back then. She cried, said I was being ungrateful for all the stress she'd handled. Mom took her side, as always. "She's the eldest, Emily," Mom said. "She just knows how to manage things better than you." That sentence still stings. Because better apparently meant taking what she wanted and painting it as responsibility. Over the years, I watched her pull the same tricks, subtle, calculated moves that made me doubt my own judgment. She'd borrow money for work expenses and forget to pay it back. She'd offer to help plan things, then use it to gain control. And when things went wrong, she'd twist it until somehow, I looked like the ungrateful one. I remember one Thanksgiving she'd promised to bring the turkey. Showed up 2 hours late with nothing but cranberry sauce. Then looked at me in front of everyone and said, "You didn't tell me to cook it." Everyone laughed. A silence on the other end. Then a sigh. "Emily, maybe you should just pay her. It's not worth the trouble." I froze. "Mom," she lied. "She didn't do anything." "I know, but she's family. You two need to move on." Family. That word again stretched and twisted until it meant nothing. When I hung up, my hands were trembling. I looked around my quiet living room, the half-deflated balloons still hanging from the failed party, and something inside me broke. It wasn't just about Vanessa anymore. It was about every time she'd made me feel small, every time she'd turned my kindness into a weapon. I knew right then this wasn't ending with me giving in. For the first time, I wasn't going to clean up her mess. This time, she was going to answer for it. I used to think betrayal was something dramatic like what you see in movies. A single shocking moment. A clear line crossed. But real betrayal, it's quieter. It builds in whispers, in emails you're not supposed to see, in phone calls that stop when you walk into the room. And for me, it came wrapped in a receipt. 3 days after Vanessa called the police, I decided I'd had enough of guessing. I started digging through texts, screenshots, anything that could prove she'd scammed me. My plan was simple: find the truth and protect myself before she could twist the story any further. That's when I remembered something. During the planning phase of the party, Vanessa had sent me a few links to custom vendors, balloon decor, dessert tables, catering, all with company names I'd never heard before. She said they were small business friends who'd give her a good deal. So I searched the first one, Starlight Events and Catering. No website. No reviews. Just a Facebook page created a few months ago with exactly one post. The contact email? vanessa.carterevents@gmail.com. My throat went dry. I clicked through another vendor she'd used for the unicorn backdrop. Same thing, different name, same email behind it. That's when it hit me. The entire event was fake. The companies, the invoices, the payment links, all created by her. She hadn't just ghosted the party. She'd set it up from the beginning, a staged business deal to funnel money straight to herself. And she almost got away with it. I felt sick. Every memory of her condescending "don't worry, I've got this" flashed in my mind. Every dollar I'd sent thinking it was for Lila's special day. She wasn't helping, she was profiting. And she had the nerve to demand more. I printed the receipts, the emails, the PayPal transfers all tied to her fake companies. But it wasn't enough. I needed proof that it was her, beyond just the email. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I called her husband, Greg. We'd never been close. Vanessa always made sure of that. She'd told me once he couldn't handle family drama, which, in hindsight, should have been my first clue. But when he answered, his voice was tired, almost relieved. Greg, I need to ask you something, I said, holding my breath. Did Vanessa ever mention helping me plan Lila's birthday party? He was silent for a moment. Then, cautiously, she said she was working that weekend. Said you cancelled last minute and left her with the bill. I felt my heart twist. Greg, she cancelled the party herself. She took money from me, hundreds, and now she's pretending it's a business transaction. She even filed a police complaint. I expected him to hang up or defend her. Instead, he exhaled sharply. Emily, this isn't the first time. That sentence froze me. What do you mean? I asked quietly. She's been doing this with her clients. Fake bookings, made up vendor fees. I thought she stopped. We've been having issues because of it. My pulse raced. You're saying she's been running scams? He hesitated. She's under a lot of debt. I tried to help, but she keeps digging deeper. She told me she needed quick cash to cover an invoice. I didn't know it was you. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. Debt. Fake companies. Lies. And now police reports. I hung up the phone and just sat there trembling, angry, humiliated. All this time, I'd been defending her, believing her sob stories, trusting her as my sister. She didn't just betray me, she used my daughter's birthday as her cover. And for what? Money she could have just asked for. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed everything: the empty backyard, Lila's disappointed eyes, the way Vanessa's smirk looked when the officer left my porch. My phone buzzed. A new message. It was Vanessa. Heard you've been calling Greg. Real smart, M. You have no idea what you're getting into. Pay the $1,850, and I'll drop this. Otherwise, things get messy. Messy. I almost laughed. Because she didn't realize it yet, she'd already made it messy. I stared at her message, fingers shaking. My anger burned through the heartbreak like wildfire. For years, I'd let her control the story, the dutiful sister, the organized one, the family favorite. I'd been the quiet one, the peacemaker, the one who apologized just to keep things calm. But this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated theft. And she picked the wrong person to steal from this time. I opened my laptop and started compiling everything: screenshots, emails, call logs, messages from guests who'd received the fake cancellation. The more I found, the clearer it became: this wasn't just family drama. It was fraud. But before I could decide what to do next, my phone rang again, a number I didn't recognize. I had to turn away so she wouldn't see me cry. Because it hit me, this wasn't just about money or pride. Vanessa had humiliated my child. She'd made her feel abandoned on the one day that should have been pure happiness. And that was the moment my heartbreak turned to resolve. I wasn't just a sister who got scammed anymore. I was a mother who was done being bullied. When Detective Harris called again, I was ready. I met him at the station the next afternoon with a neatly organized folder, color-coded tabs, printouts, bank transfers, screenshots of every message Vanessa had sent. He looked impressed. "You've done half my job for me," he said with a small grin. "I just want the truth to come out," I replied, my voice steady though my hands still shook slightly. As he flipped through the papers, his expression changed from curiosity to quiet disbelief. "These invoices all trace back to the same email. You're saying this address belongs to your something else?" I contacted a small business lawyer for advice, explaining that I didn't want revenge, I wanted accountability. He listened carefully, then said, "If she's using fake businesses, you have grounds for both fraud and defamation. But the smartest move isn't emotional, it's strategic. Let her dig her own hole deeper." That advice became my mantra. Meanwhile, the emotional weight slowly began to lift. I stopped crying and started preparing. At work, I focused again. At home, I laughed more with Lila. And though Vanessa's messages kept coming, the guilt trips, the veiled threats, I stopped reacting. I learned that silence is sometimes the loudest weapon. Then something unexpected happened. Greg, her husband, called again. I thought you should know, he said quietly. Vanessa's panicking. She said she's worried the police are looking into her business records. I think she knows she crossed the line. She didn't just cross it, I said softly. She erased it. He sighed. Emily, I'm sorry. Playing by her rules. Because this time, I wasn't just defending myself. I was defending my daughter's dignity. And soon, Vanessa would learn that when you push the quiet ones too far, they don't just fight back. They expose you. Once the grief sharpened into purpose, my revenge plan lived on a single piece of paper I taped to the inside of a kitchen cabinet, the place I hid Lila's stickers. I called it my checklist, but it read more like a battle map: gather proof, build allies, expose lies, and then when the timing was perfect, pull the thread so the whole thing unraveled. Step 1: gather irrefutable proof. I started with what I already had: screenshots, emails, and the PayPal receipts. Then I dug deeper. I went through my bank statements, cross-referenced dates, and circled every transfer that matched Vanessa's vendors. I saved archived versions of the Facebook pages she'd made for the fake companies and took screenshots of Instagram stories she'd posted the day of Lila's party. I requested digital copies of the police report and printed the officer's notes. Detective Harris helped me get formal records from the department. His quiet competence was the scaffolding of my strategy. Step 2: trace the money. Money is the clearest trail. My lawyer suggested sending formal demands to the payment processors and setting up a document trail the moment Vanessa tried to move funds again. We filed a notice with our bank to flag transfers linked to those vendor accounts. I also contacted a couple of guests who'd received her cancellation text. They sent me messages and timestamps proving the message originated from Vanessa's account. Each new piece of paper slid into my folder felt like armor. Step 3: recruit witnesses and allies. I couldn't do this alone. I called Kara, the mom from school, a couple of other parents, and Aunt Ruth, the only relative who still texted me without taking Vanessa's side. Kara agreed to post a factual timeline in our neighborhood group if I shared copies of the evidence. Aunt Ruth offered to be a witness if things went to court. Even Greg, shaky but remorseful, agreed to help by confirming what he knew about Vanessa's fake bookings. Small alliances, but they mattered. Step 4: expose the fake businesses publicly and legally. I didn't want whispers, I wanted facts on the record. With my lawyer's guidance, we drafted complaints to the Better Business Bureau and the event platforms where those fake vendors had listings. I compiled a simple, factual statement and posted it to the neighborhood forum: the who, what, when, no theatrics, just proof and links to redacted documents. It hit the community like a stone in a pond. People started messaging me privately, others with weird dealings, deposits lost, services never delivered. The pattern was no longer a story, it was a network. Step 5: set traps without breaking the law. Vanessa was still acting like she had control. She kept posting dramatic, righteous stories in the family chat. She even sent me a passive-aggressive friendly reminder about the $1,850, as if her threats were the facts. So I set a legal, ethical trap. I posed online as a prospective client through a clean burner email. My lawyer cleared it. I asked for a booking quote and deposit instructions. All of it, Vanessa still acted like she had the upper hand. She scheduled a business meeting and posted photos of invoices and contracts to make it look like she was the injured party. She sent a final curt message to me: pay up or I'll make sure they don't believe you. She was confident, too confident. Confidence makes people careless. Tension spiked everywhere. Detective Harris made a quiet phone call to financial investigators. My lawyer filed the demand. Kara and other parents prepared public statements. Greg texted that Vanessa had been frantic, telling him she saw the post in the paper and was cleaning up records. That sounded like a confession in progress. The worst part was Lila. She asked me, innocently, if Auntie Vanessa would ever come to our house again. I hugged her until her breath slowed and promised we'd have our own party, with or without the crowd. That small promise was fuel. On the final night before I planned to serve the demand in person, I stared at the cabinet where the checklist hung and ran my finger down the items. Each tick mark felt heavy with possibility. Vanessa still had turned when I entered, that trademark smirk already in place. Still playing the victim, she said sweetly. You could have avoided all this by paying what you owe. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because today, her words weren't the story the evidence was. The courtroom was small but tense, the kind of place where every cough echoes like thunder. The judge flipped through the paperwork while Vanessa's lawyer rattled off her side that she was a business owner wronged by a client, that I had refused to honor a contract, that her reputation had suffered. When it was my turn, I stood, heart pounding. My lawyer slid the binder to the clerk. Your Honor, she said calmly, this isn't a contract dispute. This is fraud. The judge raised an eyebrow. My lawyer continued. The so-called vendors Ms. Vanessa Carter invoiced through or registered to her personal email address. She created fake businesses to collect money, including a $1,850 invoice for an event she cancelled herself. The courtroom went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Then she dropped the final blow, the printout of Vanessa's latest booking offer, sent to my burner email just last week. Same pattern. Same fake company. Same signature. Vanessa's lawyer froze. The judge adjusted his glasses and looked at her. Ms. Carter, care to explain why your personal email is on multiple invoices tied to non-existent businesses? Vanessa's face went pale. She stammered, that's just a misunderstanding. I use my personal email for convenience. The judge's tone sharpened. For 3 separate companies, none of which exist on state business records. Her mouth opened, then closed. Story spread fast from the community page to local radio. By the time she reached her SUV, her business social media accounts were flooded with comments. Angry clients demanding refunds. Screenshots of identical invoices. The fake companies she'd built to control others had become her own noose. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a single illegal finger. All I did was shine light where she thrived in darkness. That night, I sat on the couch with Lila curled beside me, watching a cartoon. My phone buzzed a message from Greg. She's been charged. The investigators froze her accounts. I'm sorry it came to this. But thank you, for exposing what I couldn't. I set the phone down and exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. For once, the silence wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. The quiet after the storm. Because Vanessa's empire of deceit had finally crumbled, not with shouting, not with revenge-fueled rage, but with truth, strategy, and a mother's love turned to armor. And deep down, I knew this wasn't the end of her consequences, too. Mom finally called me one night, her voice shaking. Emily. I didn't know how bad it was, she said. I should have believed you. I swallowed hard. It's over now, Mom. Just promise me next time you'll believe the quiet one. She cried softly. I didn't hold a grudge. Sometimes people only see the truth when it's too bright to ignore. As for Lila, she finally got her real party in our backyard, just like she'd wanted. Nothing fancy this time. No vendors, no overpriced decorations, just laughter, cupcakes, and real family. The kind who show up. When she blew out her candles, she whispered, "This is the best day ever, Mommy." And I realized revenge isn't about destruction. It's about restoration. About reclaiming peace after someone tried to steal it. A few weeks later, I ran into Vanessa at the grocery store. She looked smaller, drained, hollow. No makeup, no fake confidence. Just a woman finally stripped of her masks. She couldn't meet my eyes. "You really ruined me," she muttered. I shook my head gently. "No, Vanessa. You ruined yourself. I just stopped letting you ruin me, too." For once, she had no comeback. She just turned away. And that silence, that heavy, helpless silence, was worth every sleepless night. Life moved on. My name was cleared. The police officially closed my file, marking me as the wronged party. I was even invited to share my story in a local community meeting about fraud awareness. Standing in front of that audience, I told them the truth: family doesn't give anyone the right to manipulate you. Love without respect isn't love, it's leverage. People clapped. A few nodded through tears. That's when I knew I hadn't just survived it. I'd transformed it. Sometimes poetic justice isn't about punishment. It's about reflection. Vanessa had used family loyalty as her weapon. I used truth as mine. She built fake companies and they collapsed. I rebuilt my integrity and it stood stronger than ever. Because lies can buy temporary power, but truth lasts forever. As I tucked Lila into bed that night, she asked sleepily, "Mommy, are the bad people